So I want to welcome people that are joining me on YouTube, and I want to say this. This is a big topic on the Tree of Life. Many people have studied this for a long time. It is a geometrical pattern whereby you can look at it in terms of even how the Big Bang started. You can look at it in scientific terms, in physicist terms. You can look at it in metaphysical terms. You can look at it in religious terms. But the overall concept is that it is a geometrical pattern that will show us something about ourselves and about the universe. So there's varying ways I can look at this tree of life. So today I'm going to just talk about the polarities, because I realized if I just tried to cover it all, it's impossible. So we're going to talk about the polarities, which are on either side of the central line that goes down the middle. And so before I share the screen, let me share a few notes with you by telling you again, we'll do a little bit of a recap. So if you have not seen last week's, I would ask you to go ahead and watch it, because it's good. I think it's pretty good. And we're going on a journey maybe for about another week, and then I'll go on to something else as I'm led to do. So the tree of life, it's a hierarchical structure for all the forms in the universe. It's a Kabbalistic, traditional religious teaching. Don't fawn over that word religious. It's more spiritual, but it stems from the Kabbalah. And so I'm looking at it through that way rather than other ways people may look at it. So what it does is it's a roadmap of our soul and ascension. It's a roadmap of who we are in the physical realm, all the way till we pass over, we ascend. They often refer to it as Jacob's ladder, and there's one after another as we keep ascending. I believe, well, we'll cover that in another session, that there is an ascension process, that even as I pass over, I'm still ascending, I'm still exploring, I'm still out there in spirit form and energy form exploring. And so this is a roadmap for that. And Kabbalah was a Jewish mysticism dealing with the essence of God. It was received knowledge perceiving the inherent order of the universe and unseen spiritual laws that govern our life. I have decided to integrate many of my spiritual beliefs, and I've decided to produce an amalgamation within myself, which is, I think they're calling an omniist. So I look at all the beauty of my Christian beliefs, I'm exploring other spiritual beliefs, and I'm embracing them all with a level of spirituality and critical thinking to how I grow, how I evolve, never discounting my incarnation. And we're going to talk about the polarities today and how you deal with the polarities in your life that seem opposite. Do you ignore them? Do you embrace them? What is it you do? So when we ascend, I want to remind everybody that to ascend is not to leave the body, but to take the body with us in our ascension. We grow and expand in a less dense capacity in life. Jesus did it. Enoch did it. Also, the increase of light is a transcendent quality. That is being divinely human. And I believe that we access that divinity through outside of our physical body while living in our physical body, through the chakras, through all the energy centers in our body, through realizing we are magnetic, we are connected to the earth and to the universe, and we are connected through our aura and our subtle energy bodies through the energy that is stronger than what can be contained within us. That is how you develop psychic abilities, your intuition. So this is really a glorious life if you choose to live it, and if you choose to ascend by dealing with stuff that's within you. And we're going to get into that. So our goal is to awaken the whole tree of life. Each level of the tree holds a different frequency and energy that we attune ourselves into. And I believe it's a constant evolution. We know we're one. We know that we have a higher self, a lower self, but they are one. But the higher self may be things we're not aware of that are latent within us, that need to be awakened, that call to us to get healed and to move in greater capacity of awareness. And it always stems back to our emotions, our body, our spirit, as we evolve up. So our goal is to awaken. And I'm going to, before I start on the Zoom, the picture, when we look at that picture, you're going to be aware that the tree of life, The diagram of the tree of life has 3 pillars. I'll point them out in a minute. You have the side pillars, the middle pillar, which goes all the way from heaven to earth, and the side pillars kind of stay within our humanity and in our ascension. So the crown to the base of the abdomen to the top is a central column that many physicists, metaphysicists, every type of religious and spirituality says that there's a golden thread of divine energy, that as we arise, we don't discount our incarnation and our humanity. We're put into time for such a time as this to learn things, to experience and to grow things at this level of energy as we rise, seeing what it is that makes us divinely human. Jesus was the perfect example of this. So there are chakras on both sides of our column. They extend out. They're also attached to the organs of our body, and there are many energy realities in our body. Also, this tree of life, it holds an encoded pattern. Remember, when we talk about geometry, we're saying that geometry holds an encoded pattern of what God wants to speak to us through thought forms and symbols, which are always like a higher realm of knowledge than words. And so they connect us from the divine plane all the way down to the 3-dimensional plane. So the energy centers, like our chakras within our physical body that play a role in our organs. And when they're blocked, sometimes you feel that physically. I'm not teaching on that today. So they hold a certain amount of power in our physical realm. But the energy centers outside of the human body that are in the auric field and all that, they can hold so much higher energy outside the physical body is our greater energy field. That's why Jesus said, you're in the world, but you're not of the world. It is such a waste of a life to live a whole life in a materialistic, humanistic 3D reality. But it's also an avoidance of fullness by always avoiding the things that are out there. You live in bliss or you live in ego, although ego can be in bliss too. Ego can be everywhere. So you deny everything. You're always light and love, and you're denying the reality of the suffering of the world. To a certain extent, we need to see that, folks. We're part of that. We're in that. But on the other hand, you look at the ego of hatred and good and evil and the religious dogma and tradition of dualism that has been so destructive in our lives, but we do not negate that. So how do we bring them all into harmony? And I want to differentiate between the word harmony and the word balance, because the word balance, let me find my definition. Balance is kind of like where we try to equalize the weights. You know, you look at scales, you're trying to equalize those weights so that one side is not higher than the other. I don't think that's what we're talking about here. I don't think I can ever be in balance. I think I will always be affected by things in my environment. Emotions will always touch me. So the reality is to be a finely tuned instrument in this grand symphony that God is playing in through my life as I'm in this incarnation. And to the best that I can, with a focus and a discernment, flowing in love energy, to bring all those things into harmony, which inevitably gives me hope and gives me peace and gives me joy. It is while being in the world, but not of the world. I am not avoiding these things I'm seeing, but neither am I buying into them. I'm not living my life by them, but I am seeing them. I am seeing massive insanity and chaos in the world, things that defy any amount of reasoning, greed and lies perpetuated upon lies. As I felt like I was supposed to be reading some of the reality, I didn't turn to mainstream media. I turned to other outlets. And even doing that, when I knew that people were speaking truth, it caused almost a heart palpitation in me. But I kept feeling, no, look at this, and realize that you are living in an ascended level of consciousness at a time like no other. So see it, discern it, look at this, and then bring it all into harmony to rise up. It led me to the conclusion of one thing, that I can only be the best person I can be. I am not responsible for you, even though I am entangled with you. And I'm not responsible for the movement of everything, but in my own life, I can live and move and have my being in love and discernment from my heart in conjunction with my mind, move in compassion, do not move in excess emotionalism. And we're going to talk about that right now. And I will give you specific examples. So let me share the screen. Hold on a second. Let me share the screen with you and let's start talking about this. There. Now, let me know if you can see this, okay? I want to go here and I want to look at, this is the geometric pattern of the tree of life. And what you'll see here is the lines that I drew through there are what's called the path of the flaming sword. It is a lightning bolt sequence. I think it's in Kabbalah, and it's hitting on these main topics of the ascension of light. And if you look, this is what I found amazing. In this lightning bolt sequence, you have the bottom right here, which is physical life, retracing the steps in which the light flows from here to here. It forms a path flowing even within our lives as we rise in greater light, which is less dense and it is not as heavy. This is where our divinity comes into play. So at the top, you have limitless life. What we cannot even conceive of, beyond and above in this 3D realm, what would be 186,000 miles per second, which still binds us to the electromagnetic spectrum. But when we move in psychic abilities, we are moving in a realm of greater measure of light. That's why we have to come into an awareness that we are light. But we also have to realize, let me look at my notes, that we ascend and we descend constantly in the manifestation of this light. So I want you to follow along with me. I'm going to get into a little bit of science right now for 5 minutes, because when I heard a physicist teach on this, it was amazing. So what she said was that light needs to be reduced before coming down into a physical reality. We can't handle it. We couldn't handle all that light, even though we are light in a dense reality. So she was a metaphysicist that was a physicist also believing in Kabbalistic tendencies. And she said that for light to come down from this realm to this realm, and as we increase, it has to go through these spheres, which are called the sephirotes. And what she said is that they are like lenses, follow me here, those sephirotes, those parts of us that are love, joy, all the chakras, which I'll get into in a minute, those sephirotes and spheres that correspond to the chakras, they act like mirrored lenses that filter and then ultimately deliver the light into the physical, because we cannot take it in all at once and maintain our physical existence. So a lot of times to increase in light, and this is what I found phenomenal, to increase in light, to accept more light, we got to deal, folks, with the stuff that's going on there. We've got to make sure that those filters are unblocked, which involves healing, which involves forgiveness, which involves discernment, which involves grace and acceptance, which involves ascension. It involves life. To increase in light right now in my physical existence, I'm going to have to allow the light to be filtered and be able to point out at times what it is I have to deal with. Because life is about, it's not all bliss, yet neither is it all suffering. It's not all love, neither is it all hate. We're talking about emotions. It's not about the duality that religion tried to tell us, heaven or hell. It's not about good and evil. It's about bringing a reality of harmony into seeing that to increase in light. So in our journey of ascension from top to bottom, as the light is coming down through that flaming sword, if there is any blockage in the spheres, which correspond to the chakras, which correspond to our energy, then we got to clean it up. You have to be intentional. No one can do this for you. You have to be intentional about cleaning these things up. You can neither remain in trauma your whole life nor in victimhood. I am not denying that trauma is real, but at some point we need to be healed. We need to take the appropriate measures to deal with our healing, which means we're going to walk through our shadows. And it's not a pleasant experience. I've done it. What's the alternative? You stay at this low level down here and you're living all the time from your root chakra and this 3D realm without ever engaging the heart, which is right there. You're never moving in a higher reality of the quantum field. You're never moving in psychic ability. You're never moving in ascension. And you take your cues from everything the world throws at you. You live in fear, you live in anxiety, you live in a lack of critical thinking, you live in less than an ascension. But once you decide with intention that there's more to this, that I'm in the world and not of the world, and you start looking spiritually at your life, you are calling out to God, to the universe, to help you ascend. And when you are helped in ascension, you're going to have things brought to your attention that need to be cleared up. So let's bring it down to that and let's talk about that. So chaos today, I want to read something I read this week, and it says this: chaos today is an expression of an expansion of consciousness announcing itself through the darkness. Darkness is almost the precursor to a rise in great light and consciousness. Darkness within ourselves or our shadows, if they remain unintended to, remain shadows. For the light to come in, we've got to walk it up individually, and it's also in the collective realm. So when I started able to look at the chaos that is really happening in the world on a collective way, and I started studying, then I looked at myself in an individual way. I decided I was not going to be bound by fear, and I was going to face things. One of the things I faced was that I am much greater than anybody. I will never, ever, ever relinquish my sense of freedom. I will never cross the line in anyone trying to take away my sovereignty, my autonomy, and the beauty of my incarnation. Nobody can take that from you, although they try, the proverbial they, which we won't get into. You cannot let that happen. You have to rise up, and even if you have to pay a price for truth and freedom, you pay it, because there is a great joy in rising up, being your authentic self, uncompromised by any belief system of fear or narrative, and I will leave it at that. So let's talk about polarity. I want you to look at these two, this one line here, pillar, there's a pillar here, there's the main line of divine energy, this is the heart, and they all correspond to the chakra. Here's the crown, the third eye, the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, the sacral, and the root. So all of that rising means we're going to remove the blockages in our chakras in many different ways. But to live in life, you're going to face those pillars have been determined as what appears to be opposites in our life. They're the polarity. Let me define polarity. Polarity is that which is opposite, but we can bring it into harmony in our life to move in oneness, an increasing evolution of oneness. We understand oneness, but we're evolving in oneness, knowing we are unconditionally loved in God, unconditionally accepted, but life is life. Life is life, and it's going to hit you when you're down at times. What do you do with that? Do you live in this bliss state all the time that says, no, this doesn't exist? Or do you live in hatred and malfeasance all your life and fear? Is there the ability to see what you're seeing in yourself and in others, and yet to bring it into harmony? Yes, there is. It's through this sacred geometric pattern that God has given to us, but it also involves our intention to flow in it. This isn't magical where we just wish it to happen and it's going to happen. So harmony is agreement with oneself. It is unity. It is coherence. It is a symphony. So in this realm, every time, let's say I use the word, you conquer being both a warrior and a healer, because this is the warrior and this is the healer to the extremes. But this is the harmony of the warrior and the healer as one, with eyes of discernment as we rise, with the ability to critically think, with the ability to understand ourselves and others. This is what you want to bring into harmony and inner coherence. And if you've ever studied heart math, you realize that it is not through the brain so much that you receive coherence as it is through the heart. The heart is more powerfully electrical magnetic, and we've talked about this connection through the quantum field, through the heart and the mind together, not one or the other. You listen to your heart because your heart knows you very, very well. So balance, remember I said it's an even distribution of weight. When I'm not looking to even myself out, I'm looking to be a member of the harmonic string energy of God here on this earth, and to be still at times and to think before I speak, not to buy into everything I hear or see, but to check with the energy within me and around me as to the truth of what I'm seeing, which may be contrary to what everybody's trying to tell you, because it's not all truth out there. So there are 3 horizontal bars on the tree of life, and this is the third eye, the throat, and the solar plexus. So I want to want you to look at this right here and look at this body, and I want you to just focus, still your mind and your heart. And I want to teach you something. It's a principle in the religious philosophy of Hermetics, which has been birthing more life in me than sitting in a church all those years. When I came out of that system and started including the allegorical reality of Scripture, the spirituality of Scripture, the essence of Jesus as a wisdom teacher, it grew and it opened me up that I could look at other areas of belief system, and they hold as much credence. They've been here longer than Christianity has been in existence, and I give them the ability to speak into my life. I have no more fear in that. I don't need a Bible verse to back up everything I believe anymore. This is a glorious universe we live in. So in Hermetics, there's something called the principle of rhythm. And it says this, I want you to think about a rhythm. You know, Matthew says we're to flow in the rhythm of grace. There is a movement in our life as we move up, as we heal, as we're restored. But we need to give ourselves a lot of grace, that it doesn't always happen overnight. Victimhood would keep you bound in one place your whole life, and that is how you define yourself. But to move in the consistency of harmony, I will give you the perfect example, and I will tell you this because it does not bother me anymore, because I know it has been healed in me. When my sister died and was murdered, I flew so much in this realm. I never thought a woman was capable of so much hate. Hate at life, hate at what happened to me, hate at the taking of her life, hate at how my life whole shifted because we were so close, that I determined that I was not going to live in that realm. I was not going to perpetuate my existence as a victim and carry it through my whole life. And I remember the exact moment that I was in my room with other people, and I said to them, this was way back when, I said, lay hands on me because I'm gonna deal with this right now. And I sat there almost in a travail and a birthing of the forgiveness that had to come into me to heal that deep wound and to forgive this person that did that, which has never been solved. And I knew at that moment that it was a substantial forgiveness, and that pillar of hatred was moved upon with love and forgiveness to where I brought a harmony into my life, to the point where, do I miss her? Of course I do. Do I think about her? Yes, I do, but I don't have any trouble talking about it anymore. When her birthday comes, I grieve. I'm not a victim in my life. In fact, I believe she speaks to me from another realm. I brought that into harmony rather than carry it in my life. So I'd ask you today, what do you think you never feel hate? Do you think you never have inclinations of any evil inside of you? Do you think that you have any anger that would bring you so far into this realm? Or do you think you're always love, where everything's bliss and it's emotional and life is great and wonderful, but you deny the existence of your own self? This is key, folks, to our ascension. We don't live in either realm. We're bringing them both into harmony, and it takes intentionally looking at situations to bring it into that harmonic balance. I did not blame God for this happening. I did not blame anyone else for this happening when my sister was taken. I took it as the reality of life, and with discernment, I knew that life, it is what it is. That wasn't ignoring it, but nor was it giving it power. So what in your life are you giving power to? What in your life are you afraid to look at? Because you've been taught that a good Christian always smiles and a good woman is always this. That's all bullshit. Do you ever go into the part of your life that's ruled by shadows and nobody knows because you're putting on this happy face all the time to everybody that you're just this perfectly balanced person, but in your heart, you know you're a mess. I don't know how else to say it. I knew that was me, and I still believe that is me to a certain extent. In oneness, as I evolve, the first point I look at is always myself to be brought into harmony. This is a realm of non-judgment. I am no longer judging or trying not to judge or blaming people for what is triggered in me in my life, because in the beauty of my incarnation, I have chosen to come into this time to strengthen my existence. So this alchemical principle of rhythm says this, and I say this to myself, Deborah, everything flows in and flows out. Everything has its tides. All things rise and all things fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything, back and forth in our awareness. The measure of the swing to the right is equal to the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates by awareness, by bringing it all into the middle in individual circumstances, and I cannot speak for you. So I do not know where you're out of rhythm, where you're blocked. Only you can do that through whatever means you may, whether that's therapy, whether that's having good friends you talk to, whether that's spirituality, whether that's yoga, whether that's meditation. There are practices out there that will help you get in touch with yourself, and they are as individual and unique as your life. There is no one size fits all here, and I'm not even attempting to say that. So things are constantly, in my life, things are constantly oscillating between two poles, and somewhere in the middle is the balancing act. And I believe the harmony. I believe that we're seeing it more so living in this increase of chaos and insanity. And maybe you're not even seeing it. Maybe you should. Maybe you should look at it head on and really see what's going on. So you have to bring the polar aspects of ourself into equilibrium. Individual times, problems. This is not like, how do I say this? This is not like just like glossing over everything. This is not just by affirmation alone. This is not by just realization alone. Why? Because you're human, folks. Because you're human. And that rhythm of your life will always oscillate back and forth. So when you bring these into equilibrium, you're going to bring in equal amounts of discipline and structure, balanced with creativity and intuition on the other hand. So religious dogma, this side right here, taking sides, dualistic, the ability to have in history started wars beyond measure, the ability to hate as much as those that they proclaim against, the ability to be exclusion and to leave people out unless they belong to a certain way. You live in this realm and you evaluate everything by what you exclude, thinking that you hold a prime place as a master of the universe and you are saved where the rest of the world is not saved. And it is a false love and it is a fake love. But now let's go the New Age route over here. These people that consistently post about, I'm living in an illusion, there is no time, I'm all love, and I'm just going to ascend, and I'm going to spiritually gaslight you all the time because I'm going to relate everything back through spirituality. I may be angry as hell, but my ego may be wanting to make a whole lot of money off my spirituality, but I'm not going to admit that, because when you see me, I'm going to be in control. Both sides are off of their harmony. True harmony, true spirituality is bringing this into the center. It is looking at Jesus and how he was meant to be looked at, not through a religious eye. It is looking at love, not just as energy, but as a powerful force that goes, it is energy, goes beyond emotion. Love is powerful. In this center realm of this divine energy, of this golden thread, love is powerful. I don't know how else to say it. It is a powerful force that directs your life to withstand accusations, to not be moved when you're challenged, to love when you don't even want to love in your natural senses, to be healed when you have every right to be angry. It is that point that moves you in of surrender, but neither do you lose yourself. You don't lose yourself by coming into the center. You gain a harmony that helps you navigate this world by being in it, but not of it. You have no harmony here only. You have no harmony living in this polarity. In both, you're blind. You're blind to the truth that says, no, not everything's light and love. You know, there's child trafficking going on. There's gangs, murders are increasing. People have no value for life. It's a problem of the heart. But neither do I go to this side, which says, oh, America's a Christian nation, and if you're not a Christian, you know, you don't understand what's going on here. Oh my God, we have become insane, folks. Aaron Apke, he does some incredible videos on spiritual intelligence, and the lowest hurts is insanity. That's like when we lose our sense of discernment and lose our sense to critically think. You know, I've traveled a lot and lived in many places overseas that I am able to critically think past an American mindset. And that gives me an advantage to say, folks, we don't have it going on. Trust me. We are not the end all be all of the universe. So get rid of all your preconceived perceptions and flow into a reality that only you and light and God will dictate the way. So you have to bring in equal amounts of discipline and structure. How do you get to the middle? Is it just happen? No. In the case of my sister, forgiveness came very quickly, but it didn't come right away. I struggled with that for years. In fact, I drank myself silly. I drove drunk in a self-fulfilling prophecy that I didn't care about my life. I was so wounded until I woke up one day and said, wait a minute, no, this isn't me. So I had to intentionally, with discipline, look at this and say, no, I have to seek my healing. I need to see what it is about me. Where does this lie? Where do my triggers lie? Where does my pain lie? And I forgive the people or move in love or acknowledge the pain. You have to sometimes cry yourself and move yourself through into that place of discipline and structure. You have to receive from people. Maybe people will say, listen, you know, where are the mothers and the fathers? You know, not like, if I love you, I'm going to say, get up your ass and start moving. You can't wallow like this, and I'll walk with you every step of the way. I will be there through good and bad and otherwise, but you've got to move into harmony, and I will not let you remain a victim. Neither will I leave you. I'm going to bring you into and help you come into that energy of love when you're crying and down. We are here for one another to speak truth in love energy, not because we're better, not because we're less, but because we've just gone through things. And this is, you know, I was going to go a different direction today, and I was just really felt like, no, I got to go this direction. And I just want to tell y'all are beautiful. Why are you so hard on yourselves? And I'm talking to myself. The reason I'm teaching this is, first of all, I love math and I love geometry, and I'm going to keep at it in the days ahead because I have a passion to see people walk in freedom while they're imperfect, while we're perfect yet imperfect. And, living in the Bay Area and traveling, nothing shocks me anymore. Like anything goes sometimes in the San Francisco Bay Area. And it used to, you're not shocked by the visual. I remember I was 2 years establishing, way back in the day, we established a church with another pastor. There was a group of us in the city of San Francisco, and we would take it to the streets in a religious mindset, mind you. But nonetheless, we were used to seeing anything that was out of the normal, because that is the energy that was on that city. It didn't make it right. It didn't make it wrong. What it did was open your heart to look past the perception of what you see in a person and look in their heart. And I want to tell you, you can't tell me anything I haven't heard. At 69 years old, I've heard it all, seen it all, and done a lot of it. And we need the wisdom sometimes to speak into a younger generation, or even if you're in 40, the 40-year-olds that are dealing right now with things I never really had to deal with. Like it's a different world, and to have compassion and to have empathy, but also truth. And that's just my pontification and ministry today. So we have to bring into balance. Listen to this. It says in all these different areas I've studied about this, and I'm just scratching the surface. It says that you have to bring into balance the power of the warrior with love and the mercy of the healer. In this center area, and when these chakras are aligned, whether you meditate or go to a Reiki healer to determine if you have anything blocked chakras, once we move in the realm of vibrational and sound healing that is coming into the earth in greater measure, once we're more aware of our energy, we know where our blockages lie. And when we know where our blockages lie, well, then we become a warrior and a healer. And I don't know, how do I say this? Because I know some of you are kind of like me. I put up with a lot of shit. I don't know how else to say it. I did it in anger for so many years. I was angry about everything. And I told you the truth, whether you wanted to hear it or not. I could never buy into the ushy-gushy love healing. And I have changed so much that my emotions and tears come easily when I see the injustices being perpetrated, even on child trafficking right now. I just don't like injustice. I am a warrior and a healer, and I am not afraid to go into the battle. And if you've been led to believe there's no battle, you're kind of living in an illusion, because life isn't a battle that we work out. Life is a battle that we surrender to have the power of a warrior and a healer. A warrior does not pick the fight just to pick a fight. The warrior knows when to speak the truth at the cost of reputation and honor, knows how to surrender to the truth for the betterment of service to you. I don't have a lot that scares me anymore. I don't have anything to lose. I don't have a lot. This is what I do. And so I don't have a big ministry or a big platform that I'm building. So I can speak the truth that I want to speak. So the warrior in me says, I see you. The healer in me says, oh, there's more than you can ever imagine in you. And that warrior healer comes together, and it's like, I'm not concerned as much if people like me anymore. There was a time when I was, and this healing came about through harmony. I am moving now in the cohesion of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. I know how to be intuitive and lead. I know how to administrate and to flow. And I've seen that about me for a long time, and I am still in process, but I'm not hiding anymore, and neither should you, because I know some of you that are watching this are powerful. I want to speak to the women. Stop hiding. You don't have to prove yourself or justify yourself, just be. And the men, who's emasculated you, who's made you less than a man, who's taken away that intuitive quality because you've had to pump yourself up. There is this flow, even in this tree, which I haven't gotten into yet, of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, which is somewhere located around here. The essence of that energy flows within. Okay, so this is like really not going the way I thought, so let me end like this. Let's talk about hermetic again. The degree to which we swing one way will be followed by an equal degree of swing the other way. Let me think if I can think of an example. Sometimes I can self-sabotage myself. I don't do it as much anymore. But if I swing one way going, oh, I'm sick of this crap, and then I go, no, 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 I should be better. And then I swing this way and go, no, I'm going to love everybody, even though I don't. Do you love everybody? I don't always love everybody. I've got to be shown and move in the harmony. So I'm constantly oscillating back and forth to the point where I can drive myself crazy and go, stop. It's almost like Deborah is talking to Deborah. Oh my gosh, just be quiet and just be still and listen. And that is when it stops the isolation in that one estimate. And I give a lot of grace and I give a lot of non-judgment. And I realize there, but the grace of God, go I. And I bring it all into harmony as a warrior and a healer. And I believe the warriors and the healers that are rising up are going to be powerful, unmoved and unfazed by things that's phasing the populace through fear and a narrative. And we are going to move in such a power. You are powerful, even if you don't think you are. You just don't know it. So these high related, if you're looking at outer circumstances, they're very, very keeping you in the pillars of circumstantial stuff. They're going to affect you like this. Everything flows through the heart. So all that is down here is your physical existence, your emotional existence, your desire. And to transcend higher, you will. Remember, we talked about the abyss. It is that gnosis. It is that knowledge. You're going to have to surrender what you understand or don't understand in so many ways. You're going to have to deal with that. So you have to seek harmony rather than swing erratically. So my point in doing this today is that, first of all, trust me, if I'm speaking this, I'm going to have to deal with some things, because very rarely am I able to speak this without looking at my own heart to make sure that there's not judgment, to make sure that I'm not triggered by things. I mean, you know, you want to get honest. I mean, am I the only one that sometimes goes down the feed on Facebook and says, oh my God, I don't want to hear it anymore. And keep on scrolling, the excess words, the excess victimhood, the excess deconstructing Christianity, the excess victimhood. I just have to take breaks sometimes. Why? So I'm not judging, because I don't know what that person has been through. Then when I take a break and deal with myself and come back on, I have more grace to give, that maybe there's things they're going through that I don't know as they're bringing themselves. But you have to bring yourself into harmony by resisting the need to go to either measure. And if this sounds a little general, it is, because I don't know your circumstance. I don't know what you need to bring into harmony. And there's no 10-step manual on how to do this. So to live in the middle pillar, and this is what we'll end in, you're going to raise your balance point to higher levels of vibration, not based on outer conditions, but in that middle pillar is peace and joy. And true balance is a dynamic state of being in progression in your life. This is where magic and miracles and alchemy happen, that transmutation of your energy to bring in more light and a greater sense of your intention and a greater ascension. And you're going to shift your value to a higher vibration. So let me show you this, which we'll talk about soon. Here's the chakras. These are the statements that accompany the chakras that have to do with this tree of life. The root chakra says, the root, the sacral, and the solar plexus chakras are your emotions, your desires, your imagination, your physical existence. At that root level, you exist according to your belief. I am in a human condition. And how I feel and think is going to be dictated to by a 3D realm. And that is where I get stuck. That is where I'm thinking and moving according to the beliefs of my physical manifestation existence, but there's more. When you move up to the heart chakra and you filter everything through the heart and you free that energy and increase in vibration, you're going to start to desire greater things, and you're going to be discerning that not everything you feel or think is right. You're going to surrender, you're going to move, and then you're going to go higher and ascend in different ways, and you're going to actually create your reality. Once you move in that love energy, you're going to start creating the perception and the environment that you want to live in peace and joy, which has been promised. I keep thinking lately a lot about when Jesus said, I have come to give life and abundance. This had nothing to do with what the church is teaching or religion is teaching. It has to do that there's an abundant reality about his life that even Buddhists are hooking into. And when you go, you start increasing to the point where you love what you believe, you're forming your intentions, you're ascending, and you realize in many aspects of your life, I am that I am. But then there's life again, life happens. And like we said, there's polarities and you're going around and around and around, but it's not in confusion. It's not that, it's in growth. If it's an evolution. So let me say this. First of all, I hope all this made sense to you. This is me, I just love people. I'm not afraid for people to like me or not like me. Like when I see the beauty in a person and I see the inner core of your being in the spirit or in energy, I see sometimes what you don't see about yourself. That way I can risk the relationship by speaking truth. I'm only going in the direction that I feel that God is leading onward in me. Because when you move in your passion, if you get nothing from what I'm speaking, nothing at all, get this. When you move in your passion, you're going to be in the zone where you're going to grow and you're going to ascend and you're going to deal with the stuff in you while still living a beautiful life of joy and peace, despite anything that's happening around you. That is possible. So I want to thank you for joining today. We'll keep on this next week. I really, really appreciate you being here. And I hope this has helped. Because it's Zoom, I don't necessarily see the comments. I will go back and read them. Please share this if you like this. Again, I'm going to put this into context. I'm speaking in process. I've not arrived at a complete understanding of this, but that's my life. I never wait till I've arrived at some place. I'm already there. So I'm going to speak along the way to help you know that the journey is beautiful and you are more powerful than you can ever imagine. So I will see you next Thursday, and I hope you enjoyed this.